afternoon. This is Kay Hayter welcoming you to Hanging with the Hayters, brought to you on irlonestar.com Wednesdays at noon. I've just been sitting here talking with my broadcast partner, who also happens to be my husband of 44 years.
Get out of here. Sheesh.
Hey, Mark, tell me what's on your mind?
You know, one thing
afternoon.
that's on my mind, Kay, is when we entered the station a little later than I cared to, but we had time. There was a song on, it just kind of hit me. You're as sweet as Tennessee whiskey. I'm assuming that's a woman he's talking to, and I didn't hear all the song, but I've heard it before. And is Tennessee whiskey sweet? I wouldn't think I could. I've eaten some sweet stuff, but I don't know if that's a good thing to say. Better than, you're as sweet as pickle juice. But, Kay, that was one thing that's on my mind. But the other thing is I've got two people I have to shout out to. I don't know if they can hear me. Susan Mayo, my dear sister in Washington. She had a birthday. It was on the 30th, and I forgot to call her the 30th and the 31st, and when I finally did call her, I said, you had a birthday yesterday? She said, well, it was 2 days ago, Mark. But anyway, Susan, happy birthday.
Well.
She took it well.
Yeah.
And the other is Brad Meyer, a friend of mine. We've worked together on so many projects that were unlucrative. Anyway, he's helping me out with an idea, and what a guy. He's trying to help me get my book published, is what he's doing.
He has a lot of skills.
Doesn't he? Isn't he a skillful son of gun?
He is.
Yeah.
Took the best picture of me I've ever had
taken.
That's
true.
Sure.
He's like a sister to me. Brad, I was just joking about that. Anyway, those two things are on my mind, and we got stuff happening in the week. Hey, what's happened? You got something?
Well, it seemed like the biggest challenge this week was no water in the kitchen for a while.
Okay, it was terrible.
It was.
It was.
It was. Now, we had water.
Oh, yeah.
But we had a faucet with just a little bit of a drip. And
was a drip.
Somebody in the house really didn't like that. I was coping.
Yeah, it's one of the gnomes we keep inside. But, I get this. Sometimes people call it a wild hair. It's a wild notion. Why don't I fix it now? And if you'll recall, there was a Thanksgiving many years ago when Mom was alive. We were at her house, and people were coming in. She had the table set, and her faucet was dripping. I said, Mom, let me fix that before people get here. I can do it. She said, don't do it, Mark. I said, no, let me do it. I can do this. And she begged me. I'm talking beg. Do not do it. My mom said, Mark, do not do it.
Why don't you listen to your mom?
I don't know, Kay, but I did it. And Big Al helped me. I like to drag his buns in there. And son of a gun, we didn't have that fixed after supper. We were still working on that son of a gun.
Yep.
I mean, after dinner. And it was one of those things that I'm really embarrassed about, as I am this faucet.
Well, it was basically, it wasn't Thanksgiving, but other than that, it was
this
pretty
wasn't
much
Thanksgiving.
the same situation.
And, Kay, here's the deal. I had 3 hours just staring me in the face. I said, I got to fix this dadgum drip in 3 hours. You take the handle off, you pull that thing out, you put a washer on it. We had, Kay, but I installed that son of a gun, kitchen faucet that was one of those big name brands. I'd like to tell you the name of it, but I don't know if you need to know that. But the deal is, I have never seen the valve inside that handle. It's something I'm not familiar with. I tried to take it out. It's plastic out your wazoos. And I took it off, and half of it stayed in there, and I had to get the pliers and wrench it out.
Yeah, it fell apart.
Get the pliers and wrench it out. That's one of those oxymorons. I don't know. Anyway, and so I went and bought 2 new valves because I figured I'll change the other one while I'm here. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't this fascinating? And it cost me $25 for these 2 plastic-coated things. And the first one I put in, and I said, oh, my gosh, I didn't put that rubber washer on the end, which would cause it to leak, Kay.
How were the instructions?
Absolutely. Here's what the instructions say. Folks, you want to know what the instruction says on this? I got this whole deal, and it's in Greek, it's in French, and I think Armenian. I could be wrong, and, of course, Chinese. But it says, pull out the valve. Take the handle off, pull out the valve. So Mark pulls out the valve, and half of it's stuck down in there because it's plastic, and it wouldn't come up with the rest of it. And so, anyway, I once again, I said, this is a new valve. It'll come right out, and it didn't. And I could not get it out. It's a brand new valve, cost me $12 and something, and I had to get the dadgum pliers and finally a chisel and
I had to break it to
break
get
it
it
out.
out.
Anyway,
Yeah.
bottom line is I went out and bought a new faucet.
It was easier to install a new faucet, wasn't it?
Okay, it's doing something that I don't quite understand. You've noticed it. You turn it on, and all of a sudden it's like it jerks. Like, and I said, that must be too much water pressure. And I turned it down, the water pressure, and folks, it still goes like that.
I think it was the installer.
Oh, gosh, no, Kay. I did everything. Yeah, I have.
You know, plastic parts, I don't want to do too much complaining here. But
No, Kay.
But, oh, yeah, I do. Oh, fess up.
Right. You helped me.
Yeah, I did. We have a refrigerator. It's 14 years old, you know, so it's been plenty useful. It works great. Ice maker's still going good. Of course, I probably just jinxed it.
Oh, you did, Jill. Jill.
Oh, about...
That's my sister. I call Kay my sister every once in a while. Go ahead.
But remember when the... all of a sudden, the ice dispenser wasn't working. And so we kind of looked around, tried to figure out what was going on, wound up calling the repair guy that we like that does our brand of appliances. And he came in and he said, well, I think I know what it is, and it's not going to be good news. And sure enough, that was it. And there was a little piece of plastic about a half an inch long and about a quarter of an inch wide, and it held a pin, and it just had snapped off.
It was molded into the door. In other words, it is gone, and you don't screw another one in. And he said, I can't weld or meld or whatever.
Now, you could buy a new door, but they don't make them anymore, and if they did, it would have been $800. So we have a great ice maker, but there's, there's no ice dispensing in our house.
And, we thought of buying a new refrigerator, but we had other things going.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the kind of week we've had. But, Kay, something good came out of this. And, ladies and gentlemen, let me announce this to you. And we need some help on this because I'm not going to do it. It involves, I talked to a friend of ours, and he mentioned that in Louisiana, the town he lived in, he went and he had a project, and I said, man, how'd you do? Did you go out and have to buy the special wrench for that? And he said, no, I went to the tool library. And I said, the what? He said, yeah, tool library. The city runs it or county, I don't know. But what they do is people donate tools, or when you die, what are you going to do? Your wife's going to sell stuff? Or you've got some duplicates of tools, and you're going to try to sell them at a garage sale for 25 cents?
I think we've got some.
We've got them,
we could give away, don't we?
They have a central locale where you can go and check out the tool. They hand it to you, and you bring it back, and anybody can donate.
Wow.
Now, I'm thinking, Kay, if we did that in the county, and one of you city commissioners, and county JP... you politicians, here's what you ought to do. Needs to start this. And if you don't trust Americana or Montgomery County Acana or Conroe, what you need to do is say, okay, give me a deposit that'll come right back to you when this tool comes back to you. Or, hey, you're borrowing a wrench, give me your saw. In other words, bring another tool to exchange until you get it.
Huh.
But Kay,
you've really been thinking about this.
I have. Do you have any idea how much money I've spent on stuff that is in the dadgum garage? And excuse my
And when we need it, we
French.
can't find it.
I can't find it. And I thought of it because I used a special wrench to get the faucet off, and I bought it for the faucet that went on, and I was so glad I got to use it again. But without it, it would have been miserable. I don't think I could have done it. But if I had to go down and buy a new one, and I may not need it again for a while, I hope not, but what if you could just go check one out?
Yeah.
I know Home Depot and Lowe's, they make money off of this stuff, but I hate it when they're making this much money off of something I'm going to use just today.
Right.
Anyway, that's an idea. Tool library.
Yeah.
It's just great. Let's have one here in Conroe, the Woodlands, Montgomery County. Let's have them. Somebody get on this.
As long as it's not you responsible.
Oh, it can't be. I'm not going to take charge of this,
I
Kay.
just wanted to check
Headache
on that.
out the wazoo. Speaking of headache, Kay, I am not finished yet. As you know,
sorry.
It's been in the newspaper and probably been announced here that in the near future, this radio station is going to be on FM also, 104.1 and 106.5. But there's so much stuff that's got to take place for a lot of its technicalities and all. And Dick has been working his buns off. Dick Schischler, president, owner, head guru of this operation here, has got so much stuff to do. And I mentioned that to mention this. It is going to happen. We're going to be on also the local cable TV. But right now, in the near future, 104.1 and 106.5.
Maybe April, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're shooting for, this is Dick Schischler, by the way, and I'm enjoying the show. We're shooting for late March or April, around that time, but really in the coming months of or in the coming days of February, we'll be able to set a good date.
Great.
So
great. We're looking forward to it.
We're
excited
here.
I just hate to change my stationery, Kenny, to put the FM. I don't know.
Well, just bite the bullet, babe.
Yeah. But I did want to say this. Dick is inundated with stuff. New programs coming out and all. And I said that to a few people that asked me about episode 4 is not archived yet. It is going to be when this man over here gets enough time betwing stuff.
We're on the list, honey.
We are definitely on the list. But anyway, when things iron out better, stuff will go faster, or it won't. But anyway, that's a couple of things that have been happening. Also, we had a windshield wiper problem, Kay.
Well, you know, that windshield wiper hadn't been working in a good while, and it's been on the list of things to do forever.
I know. It's a rear windshield wiper, and I just learned not to put it on. But the little windshield flipper
one of us
thing.
had to remember to buy one is what the deal was.
And do y'all have any idea how important the Internet is for figuring out how to do stuff?
We couldn't have done it.
We couldn't have done it. And we almost didn't do it, Kay, with the Internet.
Well, I don't know why I'm saying we, really, because you're the one that did it. But I did help you get online and try to find the correct video.
Kay, the instructions again. Take off the old windshield wiper. Just pull this lever and do that. That's all it says. I don't see Jack. Jack might have been on the YouTube deal we saw where a guy takes it, flips this switch, and off it comes. He doesn't say how, which switch. It doesn't say anything. We watched I don't know how many YouTube things, and finally, you know, after I'd been out there beaten thinking I'm going to have to saw it off.
Yeah, and I was really afraid you were going to do that.
I came back in, and I looked at one of he had so many videos of different windshield wipers, and one of them had 3 different types of devices, and I saw him take the windshield wiper and turn it in a 90 degrees angle, a perpendicular. And I said, son of a gun, I thought it would break if I did that. So I went out there, and it didn't want to go, but it finally did.
You forced it, huh?
But it came off. It came off, folks. I replaced it, and there was singing in the streets.
On. Yeah.
Anyway.
And see, the next time we need one, we're not going to remember any of this.
Oh, no one will, Kay.
No.
Can I make... no, I won't. I'll come back. Folks, when we come back in just a little bit, we've got a couple of things to mention now, but come back in a little bit. I am going to have to make a correction on something I did in last Sunday's article. Apologize for that, but and I don't think it's that bad. But we'll just have to see. I did get a letter on it, so that's the thing that's making me. A couple other things is going to be quick, and then we'll go to our break. Odd facts, Kay. Here's an odd fact about passwords. Most passwords, the most common password used by most computer people is the word password.
Oh, password is their password.
Yeah. Other than that, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nowadays, you need to put a letter in it. You might end it with the letter of your name or whatever. Those people that do that, I don't know what they do. I invented one. It's forgot 1T. And the 1 sounds is like an I when you read it. It's got to be a number or the password won't accept it. So I put in forget it. In other words, I can't remember my password.
Okay.
And login's another one. And this last one, and then we're going to go to our first
break. Did you
break.
just give everybody your password?
No, those are ones that are most commonly used.
Oh, that you would think would be. Okay.
Mine are so complicated I can't remember.
See, I don't even know your password.
Here's one last fact. We'll break right to a commercial after it so people won't throw stuff at me. This is a fact that most people don't know. The average person on this planet has 1 testicle and 1 breast.
All right, get out
Think
of here.
about it. Let's go to a break, Dick.
Absolutely.
That's so true, though. When you think about it.
Hi, this is BJ Orner from Montgomery County Performing Arts Society. I'm here to remind you to get your tickets now for all the upcoming events that McPass has to offer. All shows will be held at the beautiful Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. Call 936-441-7469 for your tickets today, or go to our website, www.mcpass.org, for more information. Hope to see you at the show.
Heaven's Army of Resources and Recreation Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization featuring a 10,000 square foot building located at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas. At Heaven's Army, we offer over 26 different services free for all ages, from karate, dance, drug and alcohol classes, anger management, parenting, food and clothing pantries, to just name a few. We are supported solely by volunteers and private donations. Our main mission is to glorify God in all that we do. At Heaven's Army, we strive to be a hand up, not a handout. Come check us out at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas, or call for more information at 281-689-5864. You may also learn more about Heaven's Army by visiting our website at heavensarmyofresources.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you have figured out the average person and how that works. But it's just a little, actually more than anything, a comment on statistics. Now, in politics, people are talking about 40% of the people do this, 6%, and, with averages and all, you can do just about anything, which you can do with the human body, Kay. But that's one thing. Right now, I'm... during the break, Dick told me something that has kind of upset me. I get over it, but Longmire was one of the greatest series, and I put the past tense, that I loved it.
It was a summer
deal.
Offering.
And Netflix bought it, and then they produced one season, and now, according to Dick, he's pretty sure it's been canceled. And that actor...
Well, it's not. I don't think it was canceled. It was more of like they wanted to do one more season.
Oh, that was it. And
so it's very plot driven. It's not a.
Okay, so they tied up all the ends. Hopefully,
yeah, that's
okay.
really what they did.
All
It
right.
was kind of a.
Well, we haven't seen the ends tied up yet. We'll have to look
we did.
for it.
We saw that whole season 7 or whatever it was. Not 7.
Okay, never mind.
4. Yeah, that's season 7 was Doc Martin, which comes to mind, Kay. A review.
Because we finished watching the last episode of season 7
we
last
saw it on Amazon.
night. Yeah.
I don't think you can see it anywhere else.
We originally started watching Doc Martin, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. We ran across it on PBS, and it's a very odd thing. The first thing I liked about it was the location, because it's in a little village. The fictional name is Port Wynne. In Cornwall, in England, and it's a little village right on the ocean with a pretty little harbor, and it's about all the villagers, and Doc Martin is the local doctor who, well, he's got problems.
He's got no personality, Kay. He's a curmudgeon. But anyway, he's not a nice guy. I was going to say he's a nice guy.
No, it's one of those shows where you want to slap him about, 3 or 4 times on every episode, because he has no people skills, none, but he is the most brilliant doctor.
He is.
Yeah.
And the people of the town are so nuts for the most part.
Well, he's an outsider. He moved there from London because he was having problems in London.
What's his name? The actor's name?
The actor's name is Martin Clunes.
Martin Clunes. Doc Martin. I get it.
Yeah.
It is. You're recommending it, I take it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. But, some shows are more challenging than others, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it's funny. It doesn't sound funny, but it is, because the situations that he gets into. Yeah. And, of course, he always saves the day because he's the doctor and he's brilliant.
He's the doctor, Doctor Who. By the way, Kay, on that show, they actually film it. It takes them, what did I hear, 4 months?
It takes 4 months a year to film
7?
the series, and they literally move to this little town where they film and live there for 4 months, and
folks,
they know everybody in town.
The streets are so narrow, and when they're filming, tourists come from all over. They don't have a room to accommodate people, but they're always so nice to them, and I imagine a bunch of them are used for extras.
Yeah, and it's funny that Doc Martin character really hates dogs.
Yeah.
And there's one that really likes him in town, but in person, in real life, Martin Clune just is a big dog fan, and they say on people visiting the village, if they have their dog with them, you're more likely to get a little attention from Martin Clunes.
Okay, I need to make a comment. This is not a question. It's a comment about this show. With respect to Martin Clune, the actor, when I think of doctor shows around here, there's usually, George Clooney started as a doctor on whatever that show was, and it wasn't.
I didn't watch.
It was one of those doctor shows, Kay.
We didn't watch it.
Emergency.
No. Was it?
Dick's giving me the
just ER.
Just ER, that's what it was. And then you've got Ben Casey, what's his face, and
Dr. Kildare.
Dr. Kildare. Doc Martin, how would you picture him with respect to looks?
Not very attractive.
He is not attractive. His ears stick out, and I'm not attractive. Don't get me wrong. I can call your kettles black because I realize. Yeah.
And his hair's buzzed off. He looks bald.
He doesn't look very well. And folks, I love that. Scratch that word, love. It is so overused. We need to talk about that. But I really like that about the Brits. I don't know if they can't find good-looking actors or they just say, hey, I'm just going with you. You can act well. Because I mentioned that because of two things. I have been looking at British on Amazon Prime. You can get anything on Amazon Prime TV's programs and all. Anyway, they got so many British detective shows and all. I was watching one last night, Kay, that I never even knew existed. It was filmed. It's long gone, by the way. Filmed back in 2007, I think. And there was one of the main characters in this, Kay, was a guy. He just looked like not handsome or anything, but Kay, he had a cleft right on the top of his nostril, right where his nostril does down. And I'm talking like you would see Kirk Douglas cleft in his chin. This guy had it right in his nose to the point where I couldn't look at him without just, oh my gosh.
Didn't Carl Malden?
Oh, he had that. And he had a large nose, kind of like mine, but it was more rectangular. And he did have that cleft, but he was so. This was, I couldn't look at him. And then we saw another old series with this Martin Clune guy called William and Mary. And his girlfriend in this has a gap in her bottom tooth, bottom teeth, which, hey, that can happen to anybody, but it's just black. It looks like, is that a gap or is that some kind of rotted tooth? And what it does is just ruins it for this American.
Right.
The British can see it and say, hey, no problem. Hey, I got that. I mean, British are not known for their teeth, Kay. I don't know if you realize that. Or their ears.
True. Now, these were all old things. And if you look at some of the British stuff coming out now, I think they've started having orthodontists over there or something because teeth are getting better.
It was too late to help a lot of people. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
No one does. There is something I'm going to do. I think I'll do it third break, Kay, but we're not going to a break right now. I'm just telling you ahead of time I'm changing things. I'm going to explain something to you after a while about the, it's going to sound fascinating to you, Kay, the Electoral College. Why the heck do we have it?
To?
How does it work? Kay, it's got to be done.
I've heard enough election stuff.
I know, but this is something they don't tell you in the elections, like why, how, or anything.
You're going to explain it to us?
We're not going to talk about particular politicians unless they're, back during the constitutional days. But anyway, I wanted to mention that, and then I wanted to get into a new segment that Kay and I have. It's called Fact or Fiction. And this isn't a very long segment, Kay, but I was reading last night. And by the way, have you seen how our program has evolved from the different things?
I've noticed. We
don't have the skits anymore, but we may in the near future. And what we're trying to do
They're hard.
They're hard. Skits are hard. And you know something, Kate? They're not only hard, but they are really not that appreciated. But And I can understand that.
It helps if they're fun.
It does, Kay. It helps so much. She's such a blessing. Anyway, the thing I was going to say is fact or fiction. I was thinking that's pretty good, and there are two of them I've got for you. One is the most common thing almost you've heard with respect to old wives' tales, and it's old wives' tales. Yeah, Tales, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
It is feed a cold, starve a fever. How did that get started? Is it true?
You know, a lot of these, what are called old wives' tales, are based kind of on,
Stuff.
on what they experience. So I think there's a lot of truth to most of them.
There could be. There's none to this one, though. It used to be, originally it was feed a car. Feed a car. Feed a cold, stave a fever.
Stave.
In other words, that is put off the fever. That means if you feed a cold, you will keep from getting a fever. And over the time, they said, it must be starve a fever, and they've changed it.
Well, is that true?
That's true. I have researched that to the nth limit. I didn't even go to WikiLeaks, Kay. But that is the original. And the thing is, if you actually feed, if you starve a fever, the person will have less energy to, don't stuff food down him, but, chicken soup or something. Which that's another thing. Chicken soup, is that good for cold and all?
Yeah.
It is. It really is. They say there's something in chicken.
Tastes good, too.
Yeah. Anyway, that was one. Feed a cold, starve a fever. Don't do that anymore, ladies and gentlemen.
You need to feed a cold and stave
a fever.
To stave a fever is what it should say.
Feed anything that's wrong with you is not the right way to go, but it's it's the philosophy I've been using for years. The other one has to do with something I was definitely brought up on. Kay has taught me this so much. If you make tuna fish, chicken salad, anything you make and you put mayonnaise on it, like a ham sandwich or something, and you put it in a lunch sack and the person carries it off to school, he doesn't eat it, comes home, is that sandwich horrible? Will it be okay the next day because it's got mayonnaise on it? Mayonnaise is the killer.
I've always been told.
Dick, did you ever hear that?
Refrigerate anything with mayonnaise in it.
I'm giving this and people don't even know. Yeah, that's what I was brought up on. Don't eat that. It's got mayonnaise on it and had mayonnaise. That's a mistake. Mayonnaise, actually, if it does anything, in fact, we're talking mayonnaise you buy at the store. If it's homemade mayonnaise, I can't address that, Kay. I don't know enough
I've always wanted to make homemade mayo. One of these days I'm going to.
Wouldn't. But anyway, when you buy retail mayonnaise, they say it's got enough acid in it to where it's actually going to last longer than that chicken in there. Mm-hmm. They're not saying don't refrigerate it, but they're saying don't be afraid of it after you've had it out for a day. Just put it back in the icebox. It'll be good tomorrow.
I always thought it was the eggs,
that makes sense
go bad.
Too.
So
maybe, perhaps, per se, they don't even put eggs in.
I may have to do a little of my own research on that.
Oh, you have to, Kay. There's no question about that. But you know what we have to do right now, Kay?
Already.
We are going to come back with the Electoral College. I'll do this quick as I can. It may hurt me. But we first have to take a break here on the Hanging with the Hayter Show, www.irlonestar.com.
Don't go away.
At Jazzy Junk, volunteers reclaim, restore, and recycle. Jazzy Junk is a non-profit resale storefront where you will discover wonderful, unique finds at very affordable prices on furniture, antiques, books, art, home decor, and more. When you shop Jazzy Junk, you support New Danville, a community for adults with developmental disabilities. We receive new donations daily, so plan a visit to Jazzy Junk today to find that perfect item or gift. Our motto is here today, gone today. So remember to hurry in and shop often for the best selection. Jazzy Junk is located in the outlets at Conroe on League Line Road and I-45 North. Call 936-441-4500 or visit our website, jazzyjunk.org. That's JUNQUE for more information and store hours.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio. Hanging with the Hayters is coming up shortly after this, but it is the bottom of the hour weather report and traffic from Montgomery County. So I'm going to give that to you, and then we'll get back to the Hayters. 51 degrees outside, folks. Humidity's around 38%. Today looks absolutely lovely. with today being sunny and a high near 58, and the low tonight is going to be around 30. So it's going to be a little chilly, but at least we can enjoy the sunshine. Well, the only thing I would say would be a negative deal is if you have hats on, because the north winds are going to be up to 10 to 15 miles an hour going through the Montgomery County area. Traffic-wise in Montgomery County, let's start with I-45. Northbound and southbound from Willis all the way to Spring, you are good to go. Absolutely green. 105, Montgomery all the way to Cleveland and back again, you're good to go. You're going to run into some traffic at the normal stops, especially at the Loop 336 intersections on 105. School's getting out pretty soon, and people are on the move. 1488, Magnolia all the way to 45 and back, you're good to go. Do not see any accidents or incidents. 242 all the way through 45 and Patton Village, you're good to go also. That concludes the traffic report and weather report for Montgomery County. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio. We're getting back to the Hayters right after this.
Hello, Montgomery County. I'm Rachel Baldwin with Special Olympics Texas, Area 6. Are you a fan of courage? Are you a fan of determination? Are you a fan of acceptance, grace, and skill? Then you're already a fan of Special Olympics. Make it official. Volunteer, coach, and or compete and be a fan of dignity and acceptance. The dedication of our Special Olympics Texas volunteers provides mainstreaming experiences for athletes with intellectual disabilities. You will touch the heart of another person, and it will move you in a meaningful way that lifts the spirit. Please visit the Heart of East Texas Area 6 webpage at www.sotx.org. Also, like us on Facebook to be a fan and be part of Special Olympics Texas.
Back again, ladies and gentlemen. Kay, I am so sorry. I had a miscommunication with my lovely wife, Kay. Give her a big hand.
Hand signals didn't do it, babe.
They did not work. By the way, at the very start of this show, I almost forgot, I have got to correct a mistake I made in Sunday's article. This same article and same mistake's going to appear tomorrow in the Woodlands Villager, and so there's probably, a few thousand people listening to us right now who will read that article.
I hope there are.
And they'll know the correction.
Thank you for coming back, by the way.
Exactly. By the way, the article, it's titled here in the Courier, "If not for the classes, I'd be a scientist." In other words, if I didn't have to take so many science courses, I would have been a scientist. But science is hard. And so is math to a degree, but I made a mistake in both math and history, and it shows
Well, and
stupidity.
I didn't catch it. I always read your stuff before you send it in.
I'm sure many people caught it, but only one gentleman that I'm aware of let me know about it, and his last name is Creech. I'm trying to look for his first name, but he was very tactful, and I do appreciate him bringing this to my attention, and I am not joking about that. I am ripe for mistakes. I mean, people can look at me. Anyway, here's what I did. I was talking about inventions, and I was talking about the invention of concrete in this. I was writing about it. I said, speaking of the Middle East, in 7500 B.C., years before the birth of Islam, but I put 6,900 years before the birth of Islam, concrete was invented in a place we now call Syria. Here's my mistake, as you can probably gather. Speaking of the Middle East in 7500 B.C., and I put in parentheses 6,900 years before the birth of Islam, Islam was in about, in the 7th century, 600 and something A.D., and what I did is I subtracted the A.D. from the B.C. and get 6,900. I should have added it. It would have been.
I didn't catch it either, babe.
Oh, man, it was terrible. It would have been closer to 8,000 years ago, and that was mathematical.
And we're still
order.
using it today.
Concrete, yeah. And I it sounds ironic that concrete would be invented out of Syria. They're probably in need, and that's very sad. By the way, Kate, here it is, 2000 and whatever, and I couldn't invent concrete right now. I know there's sand. I know there's rock.
Yeah.
What gets them to stick together?
I know. And, sometimes I think a lot of inventions are really more like discoveries. It's like an accident. Something happens to get, the right ingredients.
Silly
and
putty.
Then it rains, and then you got concrete.
Stuff like that.
But somebody had to go, I think I can recreate this.
And you know what else somebody had to do? That is come up with a way to elect the President of the United States. We were the only country in the history of mankind that decided to let, supposedly, the common man vote for the president. This was in 1787 when they're there in Boston writing up Philadelphia, writing up the Constitution of the United States, and they came down to how do you elect a president. Some of them said, let's let Congress do it. And then they thought, oh, my gosh, no, the people need to do it. What people? Who's going to get to vote? And they finally made this decision. And it sounds like a non-decision, but let the states figure out who they want to vote. And for years and years, until the 15th Amendment, the states said you have to be at 21 years old. Most of them agreed to 21, but it didn't matter. They could do whatever they want. 21 years old, you got to be a white male, and you got to own property. Those are the people who could vote at the beginning of this country. And by the way, they said, you know, these people, a lot of them are living in the boondocks out there. They don't know anyone. And so what they're going to do is vote for president for, you know, somebody in their state. If their governor's running, yeah, he's in Missouri. Not Missouri, forget that. That wasn't there yet. Virginia, I'll vote for him. New Jersey people, I'll vote for New Jersey. And they say they will not even know the other candidates or what they stand for. So there is a chance the people, the common man who own property and are white and 21 years old or older, they could make a horrible mistake. They could gum up the works in the election, have too many people there, and will never figure stuff out right. And so what they did is they said, let's do this. Let us select a group of people to vote for the people. The people who get to vote in the United States, the electorate, that would be you, me now, because you don't have to be 21. The 15th Amendment actually let blacks, not only blacks, but people of regardless of race can vote in this country, thanks to the 15th Amendment. Didn't take hold for a while, but anyway. So what they did is they said, let each state, right before this election, right after the election, these people are going to then sit down and take all of the votes, and if, like in the state of, let's say Texas, let's go forward somewhat. Texas has 38 million people.
Okay.
That's a lot of people, I think 38. Anyway, what happens is if you get electoral votes, we've got, 30, we must have, are y'all still here? Texas. Nope, that's electorate. Anyway, we got a lot of people in this state, Kay, and don't think we don't, but we got 29, I think it is, or more electoral votes.
Okay.
And what happens is...
It's 28.
28! Woo!
Thank you.
What happens is if you get a plurality of those votes in Texas, if there's 12 people running, you know, they're on the ballot to vote, whoever gets one more vote than all the others, like the second place guy, one more vote, he gets all of Texas's electoral votes.
Okay.
However, 28 in this case, or however many. You get electoral votes based on the number of members you have in the House of Representatives and the number of senators. There are right now, though, 435 members in the House. There are 100 senators. That's 535 electoral college people. They're really people. But the 23rd Amendment, 1961, it passed, said, you know, we need to let Washington, D.C. vote for the president. Well, they don't have any senators. They don't have any members of Congress. What should we do?
Yeah.
Let's give them 3 electoral votes. So the 23rd Amendment made it 538. To be the president of the United States, ladies and gentlemen, you have to win half of that plus 1. Half of that is 269. So if you want to be president, you do need to win a majority, not a plurality in this case, and that's 270 electoral votes. And there are real live electors out there. Well, what happens is each state, like, I don't care how small you are. The smallest state in the union is Wyoming. They have not 1 million people in the whole state. It's almost 600,000. They still get 3 electoral votes. They get, because they have one member of the House of Representatives, they got 2 senators.
Right.
California has 2 senators. Wyoming, a picky little state, has 2 senators. And so the little states say, I really have more of a voice in the presidential election if we keep the Electoral College the way it is and don't go to a full-fledged popular vote. Don't let do. So that's why we will never change it, because it'll take an amendment.
I wonder about that.
What happens, ladies and gentlemen, is each state in their convention to select to choose whichever. What they do is they have a convention. They select delegates to be electors in the electoral college. They're real live people. They're ex-governors. They can't be a member of the House or anything. But these mayors and all, the Democrats select, like if you're in whatever state, let's say Ohio has 18 electoral votes. If you're in Ohio, the Republicans will select 18 people and the Democrats will select 18. All of them swear. They don't swear. They promise. They don't swear by anything. They say, I will vote for whoever the Democrats, whoever gets a plurality of votes if they're a Democrat in the state of Texas. So lo and behold, they vote on December 15th. In each state, it's roughly December 15th. And then the Vice President of the United States counts the ballots. It's on those weird things, the first Monday after the third Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. It's a weird time. They do things weird. The Vice President of the United States counts them, and there's seldom a tie. There was in 1800. I told you about it last week. But if there is a tie, the House of Representatives will break the tie out of the first top 3 people who have the most electoral votes. They will break it. The Senate will break the vice presidential vote. I mean, it'll be a tie for the president and the vice president. And in that case, they could choose. We could end up with a Democratic or president and a vice president who's a Republican.
The other
it
party.
could happen if there's a tie and weird things happen. But it was because people wouldn't know much. So, by the way, last time, and I know you're asleep. I'm almost asleep. Okay, quit it. When I mentioned in 1800 the election that it was a tie between Jefferson and Aaron Burr, they broke that with the 12th Amendment, saying you got to put them on separate ballots. But here's what the deal was. Why they did one piece of paper. They said, electors, you can vote for only one person from your state. You get 2 votes here. Only one person from your state. The second person has to be from out of state. So the thought was the person out of state is probably going to be the person, if he's the most famous, to get most of the votes. And in the all of them voted for both Jefferson and, not all of them, but the Democrats, Republicans voted for Jefferson and Aaron Burr, and there was a tie. And so now what you do is you take a piece of paper, and if the number one candidate has said, I want so-and-so for my vice president, then they put on one piece of paper, like in 2008 it was Obama, they put his name, and then next to it they put, then on a separate sheet of paper for the vice president, they put Biden. And that's the way they do that. That's the way it works. It's been in place for many years, and it will not change during my lifetime because to make
I hope that never happens.
It
that
will
is so
take
complicated.
3/4 of the states to vote to change that. And when you look at 3/4 of the state and you figure out how many of them are small states, it's the small states that aren't going to want to change.
Yeah.
California, Texas, yes, change. We'll have a popular vote because we got the most people. Do you think anyone would go to Wyoming to campaign if they realize, there's in Wyoming,
3 electoral votes.
6 million people. If it was a popular vote, there'd be no electoral votes. But you're going for about 20 towns that have, 1,000 here and all.
That's true.
Weird.
I wouldn't mind a few changes in campaigning, but
oh yeah,
I need to think on this.
By the way, let me say this about that. Folks, that came right off of, I had some facts here, but I didn't plan it to give you a spiel. And as a result, that's why it went.
Well,
if I was teaching school, Kay, I'd have this down. And
I know.
I'd have a blackboard here.
You've done that.
Anyway, one thing we haven't done yet is done our third break. And when we come back, I'm going to tell a story, Kay. It's our story time when we come back.
Okay, I can't wait.
SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County is a 501c3, all-volunteer-based rescue and adoption organization with a no-kill policy for healthy and adoptable animals. Our name states what we believe: Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. People eliminate the suffering. Spay, neuter, adopt, please. We rescue abandoned, abused, or homeless animals, do whatever is needed to make them healthy and happy, and then we find them loving forever homes. We envision a county where every companion animal finds a permanent and compassionate home, where communities are enriched by the special bond between people and animals, where cruelty no longer exists, and where every home practices responsible pet ownership. You can contact us at www.spcaofmc.com. The SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County encourages you to think adoption first.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hanging with the Hayters with Mark and Kay. I almost said the Mark and Kay show. Not to be confused with what used to be the Mark and Cindy show, but now Cindy's on her own doing a fabulous job. Even I coughed because I've got something in my throat, not because I wanted to make fun of that. She is doing a fabulous job. By the way, we are going to have a story right now, and before I get into it, I want to mention two guests we're going to have next week. Two friends of mine, Lisa Martin and Pat Sledge. They're friends of mine from Oak Ridge High School, and we're going to do a special segment about changes in this town, in this county, from when we were young. In other words, the Sonic here in almost downtown Conroe, what was there before? Things like that, and what we used to do.
I don't remember that corner, but I remember some other places that aren't here anymore.
Anyway, Lisa Martin, and I could have asked many people in Pat Sledge, but they are just charming. They great sense of humor, great personality, and anyway, that'll be next week. But right now, we've got to have a story, Kay, because we've got it on the docket. A lot of things we had on the docket we didn't do, but now we're going to do the story. And Kay, this week I selected the story about how the Hayters, that means the Hayter family, not Kay and my family, made it into Pasadena, Texas, from Bristow, Oklahoma. I was the first child, ladies and gentlemen, of 7. I was the 5th Hayter. Born, I was the first one, though, born in Texas. All the others were in Oklahoma. And here's how that happened, ladies and gentlemen. It had to do with one fluke event. Back in Oklahoma, my dad was in the oil business, but not in a big way. He and a friend of his took all of their money, which it couldn't have been much that my dad had, and bought a truck and some well-servicing equipment. It involves equipment that can help pull we got a giant
pull pipe.
Okay, you're very good. Out of the ground and all that's stuck or whatever, fix this motor, fix whatever. And they went around in Oklahoma and they were repairing oil rigs and servicing them with whatever they needed. And my dad was actually for a while a business with himself and one other guy.
Yeah.
And it was going well except for this one thing. His partner was not pulling his share. He was an alcoholic, more or less. He stayed out partying, and he would come to work real late, and Dad was doing it all. And finally, Dad, when the guy came in late one day, Dad was there at the unit out there in the middle of nowhere, I guess, in Oklahoma. And Dad said, look, I can't put up with this. I'm going to call him Bob because his name was not Bob, but I don't need to pass on.
And your dad's name was Ferris.
My dad's name was Ferris. I'll tell his name, Ferris Hayter. Anyway, Dad said, I can't put up with this, Bob. I'm doing everything, and, we're splitting everything, and this is just not fair, and I don't want to continue with the responsibility of this whole thing. So here's what I suggest we do. We take a coin, we flip it. You call it, and if you win the toss, you've got all of this. If I win, you get in that old, they had an Army surplus truck. This was in 1946, early 47. And he said, you get this Army surplus truck that we drive, get supplies and all in, and you get out of here. If if you win, I'll get in the truck and I'll get out of here and I'll be out of this business, the oil servicing business. The guy said, oh, man, that's great. Do it. And so Dad flipped, I think it was a nickel, but I can't swear to it. That's what I remember from the story. Dad flipped it. When it landed on the ground, the guy called tails, and it was tails. And Dad walked off, got in the truck, and drove away. And he got home to Mom and Bristow and the 4 kids, and he said, we've lost everything. I did it on a coin toss, and I'm not sorry. I couldn't have put up with it anymore. And she said, well, what are we going to do? I said, well, let's go to Texas. They went to Texas. They drove down there, and Dad got a job in other oil drilling companies, and eventually he got a job in a refinery. He worked there 20 years at a job he absolutely hated. But the rest of his kids were brought up here. If that coin had come up heads, I don't know where Dad would have been or if he'd have been happier or whatever. But it was a toss of a coin that changed the lives of an entire family and put us down to where I am now. I would have never met Kay. I would have never been born in all likelihood. Somebody else would have been born, but I doubt it would have been by my sperm and Mom's particular egg at that time.
Okay, let's don't go there.
Don't get into that.
Don't go there.
What I'm saying here is little things in life, how they just can change the whole fabric. And Dad made a decision. If you think decisions aren't important, that's one that was, and you're making them every day. I personally, this is by no means a sermon or anything, but I think it was meant to be that God said, nah, it didn't really help my dad physically. He died at the age of 62 from a heart attack 1 year after he retired. But that's what happened to him. The rest of us are now in Texas. All of them are except my dear Susan, who I had a shout out this morning, is still in Washington State right now. Anyway, that's that. And I think we still got time, Kay, after that story.
Okay.
And I'm drying my eyes here. Kay, we got a joke. And this joke is from something I found regarding Hollywood Squares. Kay, do you remember Hollywood Squares?
I do.
9 people up there. They
yes,
have the host.
I do.
I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, the host, and he would ask them a question, and they were in 9 cubicles, and it was like a tic-tac-toe. And if you answer the question, whatever you answer, one of the guests has got to say, is he telling the truth, or is that not right? And if he wins, he gets an X, if that's his... Anyway, that's the deal. And so what they would do is ask questions of these actors, comedians. They were not your...
That's why they called it Hollywood Squares.
They called it Hollywood Squares, Kate.
They were Hollywood, and they were sitting in square.
Anyway, I found some of the responses, and a lot I can't tell you, but I'm going to mention this to you. They asked Don Knott, if you'll recall, the deputy of Andy Griffith. They said, "You've been having trouble going to sleep. Are you probably a man or a woman?" That is the question focused at Don Knott's. And Don Knott's answer was, "That's what's been keeping me awake." I thought that was pretty funny. They asked Paul Lynde. Oh, the guy
he always was funny.
He was. He said, "When you pat a dog on its head, he will wag his tail. What will a goose do?" And Paul Lynde said, "Make him bark?" I don't know. Paul Lynde, that guy was so cute.
Paul Lynde was also the guy that said his favorite beverage was gravy.
Oh, man. Yeah, and that's mine too. According to Ann Landers, this was offered Charlie Weaver. I don't know if you remember him.
I do.
According to Ann Landers, here's his question. According to Ann Landers, is there anything wrong with getting into the habit of kissing a lot of people? And Charlie Weaver said, "Well, it got me out of the Army." I don't know what it means, folks, but and finally...
Do you think they had the questions ahead of time?
Well, they said on this particular deal they didn't in these, but I think they did. Here's a question to Paul Lynde again. Who stays pregnant for a longer period of time, your wife or your elephant? And Paul Lynde said, "Who told you about my elephant?" That's just crazy, Paul Lynde. He's just a goofball. Anyway, and there's, like I say, some here that are the funniest, but off color. Anyway, you might need to email me or Facebook me, and I might share some of these with you. Speaking of Facebook, Kay, we got to leave in a minute, but I haven't been putting much up. I've been only put up a Facebook deal whenever, the day of the show. I need to do that more. I need to get information out. Please.
I hate Facebook.
I know, but please send us messages on Hanging with the Hayters and comments you might want to say about the show, how to make it better, and what you might like to see on it.
I'm going to try to start liking it more.
Kay's going to try to start liking it. That'll help. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been a peach. Next week, Lisa Martin and Pat Sledge, Hanging with the Hayters with
Bye,
Kay
y'all.
and I. Back next week.
Thank you for checking out a podcast on Lone Star Internet Radio. Lone Star Internet Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas. If you are interested in sponsoring a program for Lone Star Internet Radio, just visit us online at irlonestar.com or message us on Facebook. We are always taking song requests on Twitter, and if you are interested in getting involved with the station, by either hosting your own show or if you want to be a DJ, just contact Dick at irlonestar.com. Lone Star Internet Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station.